welcome back to LinkedIn Logs, the jobs podcast for the website cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Episode 54. Welcome back into the show that talks about job stuff. Sometimes I'm your host, Chad White. Here we go. I think this new setup I have for the iPad in regards to theme songs is working so far. The issue is that it opens up. I'm not going to get into it, but it does. The way I have it linked, I made shortcuts on the iPad because that's what you could do on Mac and iPad, iOS stuff. I made shortcuts and I send the audio file to open directly up in voice notes. The negative is that if you continuously do them, like if I open up Const theme, lately theme, logs theme, it just keeps opening up different files and it'll keep building on those. So if I open up LinkedIn log theme 5 times in a row, it'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's annoying. It's working for me right now, and that's all that matters, and it stops and it doesn't loop, and that's all I care about. Welcome back in. We have a lot to discuss. I just finished an audiobook, recording one, and I did finish listening to one. Secluded Cabin Sleeps 6. Jeez. Oh, it's fantastic. Then I started up Factfulness. I don't know what the subtitle of that book is, but it's got a long subtitle or something. So that's what I'm dealing with. Do I have anything else going on? I do not. Actually, I do. I have a friend, one of my best friends. She sent me a message from one of her friends. I got a new case also. So you might see my phone looks different. You can see the back of it. She sent me a text from somebody on her Instagram profile that was asking, any social media professionals looking for work? Do you like comedy podcasts? Helping someone fill a cool remote gig? Message me if interested. I don't want to get too specific. I think I just showed off the entire message. My hands are very, I'm very animated. I don't want to get too into this, but I never, ever has anyone's suggestion to me ever worked in terms of jobs. Like I'm not kidding. I've never sat down with anybody to have a conversation that led into a job. I've never I've gone out to dinner or I've gone to lunches or whatever so many times. And that was supposed to be like, like, oh, let's talk about getting you, and it's always been, you just got to keep going, blah, blah, all that bullshit. It's never been, hey, reach out to this person. They might know something. That's never worked for me. So I am very much against that. I do not like it. I can go it alone before I go and network and talk to somebody. Here's a little side. It's not even a story. A little side story. This is years ago. I think I had just moved to the city from the suburbs, and I had like zero money. I like truly just the negatives of money. And I wasn't even I was in the suburbs. I wasn't even down in the city. So this is when I was working at the 11 Alive, the NBC affiliate here. And I'm in the city working. And my mom was like, I knew this was going to happen at a time, but she was like, hey, I know this girl who works at Warner Brothers, and you should, like, here's her information, reach out to her, all this stuff, blah, blah. And I reached out to her and I was like, well, do you want to meet up to talk about, and the way that she was presented to me was, she's going to help you get a job, as if it's 1991. And that's still a possibility at this point, at least for me, because this shit has never happened. Like, this has never been positive. I could have done it 50 times, and 50 out of 50 times, it's been bad. So, and I'm sorry, apologizing for cursing, whatever. Any Hoosers. I live in the suburbs, so I assume downtown is a place to meet. And we meet at this very bad diner, like 24-hour diner restaurant downtown. And she gets a whole meal and I get soup. I'm not kidding. And it's not even a bowl, it's a cup. I get like a cup of soup and she gets like a whole meal and then she like literally from the first of all she was late. Second, from the moment she sits down, she's like, you just gotta go. Just keep applying to jobs at Warner, and they'll get you a job. And just apply to every single job you ever see there, and it doesn't. You don't even have to be qualified for it, and then eventually you'll get the job. Yep, I've been there for a couple years. Just get the job. She eats this meal, and then we eventually say goodbye. And then also, guess who pays for it? Me. So now the $20, not even 20, but yeah, like the $20 I had is just gone. I had to pay for parking, and I'm just like, that was a waste of my time. So this is why I do not talk to people. This is why I do not network. I don't do any of that stuff. I'm never gonna chop it up. I'm not gonna do that. That's just not me, and it's never worked. And I don't want to waste my time. And oh yeah, you could say like, oh, 10 years you could be looking for a job. No, it's not gonna happen. I'm telling you, this is my experience. Do not question my experience. Anyway, so Alma reaches out and she's like, hey, my friend Jeff posted this if you're interested. She sent me his email because she'd already previously reached out to him, or she'd already reached out to him on my behalf. And it's for I would say like the number 3 podcast in the world at this point in time. And it's not a right wing podcast. I would say it's like truly one of the biggest podcasts. A show I do not listen to, and and then I reached out, against my better judgment. I reached out, and the guy was like, "Thanks, Chad. I'll pass your info on to the team. This would be a part-time social role with Smartless and Smartless Media." I don't know social media, and again, 10, 15 years ago, I think that these companies would hire. Would hire somebody who's been a producer for social. I think that they would think that translates. But now, as I've seen working at Cartoon Network and working at CNN and just being on the outside, knowing how these jobs work, I know that people are going to school for social media specifically, or they're learning these talents. And now I am not going to get this job. But I reached out and I did it because Alma was not pushy about it, and she was just like, "Hey, I did this," and I like, "Thank you, I'll reach out to him." And I did it as soon as she sent the text. I was like, "I'll just send an email." Drafted up. I sent him samples and links. And I've been thinking about it. This has been like 2 days. I've been thinking about it. If I were someone at this giant podcast for this giant company, but if I were someone, looking to hire somebody for social, I would, and this is not just me being like, I need a job, but I would look at somebody who has done the TV part. I would go, hey, if this person probably knows, the only thing they probably don't know is SEO and all that jazz. But to look for somebody who can cut stuff, who has cut stuff for TV, and who has worked on television, who has produced the hard stuff, this is a cakewalk. Anyway, that's just me, and I'm not. I fully believe I'm confident that I can do the job, but will they look at somebody who has 10 years of experience at companies? Because I can't even go to like Amazon because people think it's so easy. Like people think, oh, you just change your little resume around and you go get a job you want. No, that's not how it works. That is not how it works. Not in today's world. Anyway. All right, let's run through this. Come on. I was thinking about holding some of these because sometimes I come in here and there's nothing to talk about, and I just vamp for 20 minutes. But now I have like 40 minutes worth of stories. I always have a long time, but we'll see. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter, written by Alex Weprin. Netflix content chief Bella Baharia says we are not changing our compensation model. It was rumored that that Netflix was going to change how it pays talent for its movies and TV shows. There were, sometimes you hear about certain comedians who are unfunny getting $50 million deals. That's why Monique was so upset, because she was not getting what she not only felt she deserved, but what she actually deserved, because she's been around for so long. Same thing for Wanda Sykes. And then you hear about other comedians who are anti-trans and anti-queer, and they're making $50 million, Dave Chappelle. And it's frustrating. So, interesting how we're. I'm sorry. I just saw. I'm on the Hollywood Reporter, obviously reading the story, and as I'm talking, I'm reading this related story that says, the movie Sing, is doing a special, a Halloween special, and it's based on Michael Jackson's Thriller. And I'm just like, didn't he touch those kids? But anyway, that's not my business. But the rumor was, going into negotiations and all that stuff, that Netflix was going to change compensation models, and apparently that's not happening. She says at the Bloomberg Screen Time conference, our model works great for talent. It works great for filmmakers. It works well for us. We like the model. It's worked for a long time, so we are not changing our compensation model. The executive suggested that the entertainment press is trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, and that the small number of one-off deals where talent, quote, was interested in the opportunity are not indicative of any larger change. To me, I believe this. To me, it feels as though that it seemed like talent and agents going into these new negotiations were going to be offered something that wasn't working for them. Like, that's why you see a lot of comedians now going to Hulu and to back to Max and HBO Max and over to Amazon, because they're not getting paid well. And you see Netflix is reining in the spending, as is every other streaming platform. So when I see something like Netflix, might be changing, even though the title of this headline is they're not changing it, but that they might be, that makes me concerned that people working on the platform won't be getting paid what they should be getting paid. I'm not a fan of Stranger Things, but pay Finn Wolfhard and the rest of those kids. Reports in recent weeks suggested that Netflix was preparing to propose a plan to Hollywood that would include smaller upfront fees in return for more success on the back end. I know I've mentioned this before. I think it was on Constitutionals, but and I believe I might have the right person, but it was Arnold Schwarzenegger was like the first star in ever, but like in the 80s or 90s, where he asked for points on the back end he took a smaller upfront pay, and because he believed in the movie, and he got more money because the movie did well. And that works. That's a huge gamble, and that works if you are somebody like, at the time, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I still think he can sell a movie like Arnold Schwarzenegger, like Sylvester Stallone. Tulsa King? You're the Tulsa King. Shot in Atlanta. Parts of it. But if Georgia, at least. But if you are somebody like them, then that works great. But not everybody is going to be able to have something like that. If I'm clicking over to Netflix right now, but if I click on my profile, yes, I have multiple profiles, one for my mom and one for my friend. Don't tell Netflix. All the stuff that's on my front page is not even Netflix stuff. But if I am somebody who, if I did, I'm going to choose a show that's not super popular. Let me look at the new Tomb Raider Lara Croft show. if I were the creator of that show, we don't know if that's going to be popular. And just because it's Tomb Raider and Lara Croft and it's a known series of video games, then yeah, I mean, sure, I can take the gamble. I can be comfortable in doing that. But if I'm somebody who was part of, let me look at this. I don't know, Baby Reindeer, that's a huge gamble. You know, I'm not the Three Body Problem, which is a series of books I read this year. No big deal. I read all three Body Problem books and movies because they're like books are like movies of the mind. But if I'm confident in myself for Baby Reindeer and I'm Richard Gadd, I think that's his name, then I can go, hey, I'll take less money up front. I'm still a creator. I'm still a producer on this show, and I'm still a star. What's going to happen here? I truly believe this is going to be a big hit. Boom. I win Emmys. The show does well. We're talking about other stuff for me and my star. We're getting sued by the woman who this is based on, who did do that stuff. I might not make it to all 4 stories, which is great. Netflix, of course, has changed its payments to creatives in the wake of last year's SAG-AFTRA and WGA strikes, including success bonuses for shows that click with viewers. These success bonuses, I think, are just so stupid. Like it's not an unfair incentive, but I do think it is a nasty one, something that we should not be instituting at all for every streamer, because again, some shows are going to perform better than other ones. Let's pretend Stranger Things started this year and at the same time Baby Reindeer started. It's people glommed onto Stranger Things because it was a huge phenomenon. And if Stranger Things did better than Baby Reindeer, then wouldn't people be on the outside looking in? I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just think it is kind of a little bit of a gross one. Not gross. And the gross is not even the word I want to use. I kind of want to rein that in. It is something that, look at it this way. When college sports stars were offered money these last 2 years, finally, which is one of the reasons I don't watch college sports, but when they were finally offered money, offered payment to come play at these schools, besides scholarships and all that, it was some people playing college sports were paid more because they were seen as stars. If I'm playing for Notre Dame and we're ranked number 1, I don't know if this is true. Please do not at me. Nor do I care. But if I'm playing for Notre Dame and we're ranked number 1 and I'm the best receiver on the team, then yeah, I should be paid more than the best receiver at University of Tennessee Chattanooga, excuse me. Yeah, that makes sense. But for these shows that start from nothing, if some of these shows are just like truly popularity contests. They don't have to be good. They're just things that click. Outer Banks isn't a show that I like and enjoy, but it is something that I have seen one episode of because during the pandemic, a friend and I were not challenging, but we were giving each other shows to watch and like reviewing them. That's truly what my pandemic was. My 2020 was my friend Adrian and I making lists of shows that are themed or movies that were themed, and then we would tell each other to watch them, and then we would give reviews. But if I look at a show like The Brother's Son and then The Witcher, or The Brother's Son and Squid Game, The Challenge, those are 2 different things. They're operating on 2 different levels. And just because Squid Game has the name, the notoriety, Squid Game, The Challenge has the name and notoriety of Squid Game proper, just because we have Michelle Yeoh at Brother's Son doesn't mean that it's going to do equally as well. And then people going out there and doing interviews and stuff, and it's like a popularity contest in some aspects. So anyway, the compensation model is staying the same, and that's what Netflix is doing. Netflix, it is changing how it pays its top executives. Last year, the company shifted its C-level pay structure to include smaller salaries and more stock so as to align CEO interests with those of shareholders. I think that's fine. Yeah. Also, you have your money. Again, if you're making over six digits, if you're making over six figures, you're fine. And don't tell me you're not. Because let me tell you something. I'm not making six figures. All right. Looks like I'm splitting up all the stories. All right. So here's the last story for today. And the next week, I'll have two things to talk about. WGA members told not to work with Millennium Media anymore due to pay disputes. This comes from Gene Mattis over at Variety. The Writers Guild of America ordered members on Wednesday not to work with for Millennium Films, the producer of Action Fair, including The Hitman's Bodyguard and The Expendables. Guess who's seen both Hitman's Bodyguard movies and all four of The Expendables? Guess who was so friggin' mad at the beginning of Expendables 4? Let me tell you, I sat down and watched that movie, and I've never been so incensed. What a bad movie. Oh my God. Guess who owns 3 of the Expendables movies? All on Blu-ray. Actually, one of them might be on 4K, but all on 4K or all on Blu-ray. The Guild told members that the company has a history of not paying upfront compensation and residuals and of not paying on time. This is a huge thing. This is very big. Why did we have those strikes last year? That lasted for a long time. And it wasn't just because of AI. It wasn't just because of, naming conventions, putting names on scripts and everything. It was also because of money and compensation and residuals. And the reason you join a union, be it the Writers Guild, the Directors Guild, the other guilds, you do it because of you get safety in numbers and safety with somebody who's standing up for the little guy. The woman, I'm never going to remember this. There was I don't know if this is the movie. I think this is the movie, and I hope I'm right because this is a true story. Yes. Is it her? It is her. Okay. All right. So Adele Lim wrote Crazy Rich Asians. It was her first movie that she wrote. And Lim did not return writing the sequel because she was offered significantly less pay than her male co-writer, Peter Chiarelli. This is due in part to this. The reason why you should join a union, and this is in part because when you are part of a union, when you're part of the WGA, the first movie you write, I believe, is $100,000. Like that's how much money you get paid. Yes, $100,000. Her male co-writer was offered $800,000 to $1 million. Well, 110 plus. Wow. This comes from the Hollywood Reporter. Warner's explained to Lim's reps that the quotes are industry standard established ranges based on experience and that making an exception would set a troubling precedent in the business. Yeesh. You want to be a part of a union so that they can protect you and everything like that. And when these movies eventually go to streaming or when they go to cable or wherever they land up, if Expendables 4 lands on Tubi, you should get paid. That's where it belongs. Everybody should watch that and just be as mad as I was when I spent money to see that. Oh, I was so mad. I don't know if it was here. I don't know if I rented it or if I went to the theater. I think I went to the theater because I know I was angry when the movie ended. And I remember watching every second and going, oh, boy. But you want somebody to protect you. And when it lands on Tubi, you should get paid X amount of money because you wrote that movie. The same thing happens when you're an actor. When you are a part of the Brady Bunch, the first show I could think of, when you're part of the Brady Bunch, you should get residuals because the Brady Bunch started on CBS, ABC. It starts on whatever network it starts on, and then when you hit the syndication numbers, and it goes from CBS, ABC to TBS, to TNT, and to Disney Channel, and to Cartoon Network, and to the rest of these platform networks, then you're getting money from that as well. And over time, it is diminishing returns because when you are Big Bang Theory, yes, your show did well for 10 years. And yes, it's playing all the time on CBS, and it's playing all the time on what's UPN? The CW. It's playing all the time on TBS. It's playing all the time everywhere else. TV Land is the one I was trying to think of, and I don't think it's on TV Land yet. TV Land also had original shows. It had one starring Ray Romano and Andre Braugher, I believe, and then there was another one with Cedric the Entertainer, and another one with Donald Faison. Look them up. Those are all real shows. But over time, yes, the Friends cast is still making buku dolores, even though their show's been off for 20 years. 20 or 30? I don't know how long it's been off, but it's been off for a long time. 30 years. I watched the show. I'm 31. It's been off for a long time. They're still getting paid a decent chunk of change. Less than what they originally paid, but decent chunk of change. So when these companies don't pay for the Expendables 4 or the Hitman's Bodyguard 2 on time or the right amount of money, now the WGA, the directors, the SAG, all of them can get up their ass because they're breaking laws. The company and the union are at loggerheads over the conditions it must fulfill in order to become a guild signatory. As of now, it is not a signatory to the 2023 writers' contract, which is a requirement to hire guild writers. Millennium has refused to do so. Millennium Films was founded by Avi Lerner in 1996 and has amassed a significant library, including movies like Olympus Has Fallen. Oh, I like those movies. Expendables, The Bricklayer, and The Mechanic. According to the WGA statement, the union has had to file several claims against the company over the years. The union asked any members who have worked for the company since May 1st, 2023, or have been approached to work for it, to contact the guild. Wow. That's crazy. And at some point, they're getting a couple of passes, and now WGA just has to stand up for them. In 2013, the company Millennium sued WGA and writer David Callum in a credit dispute over the first Expendables movie. That suit was likewise settled out of court. A former executive also filed a sexual harassment suit in 2017. I'm not laughing at her. I'm laughing at them. I'm laughing at the fact that this is part of the story, alleging that Lerner fostered a misogynistic work environment and a culture of sexual favoritism. Jesus Christ. Gerard Butler sued Millennium in 2021, seeking unpaid royalties for Olympus Has Fallen. The case was settled out of court last fall. So it seems that Millennium is in the wrong consistently. And it doesn't make sense that this movie studio is not doing what it should be doing. And, they can say we're not as big as Warner or Disney or 20th. 20th is now Disney, excuse me. We're not as big as Warner or Disney or Paramount. But in many regards, then you should have more of a hand in how things are operating over there. You should know. If you're a smaller company, then like if I haven't heard anything from Skydance, then which is now part of the Paramount family, then maybe you're in the wrong. So what's the answer here? Eventually, Millennium. There's two things that Millennium could do. Is turn tail, which is the right answer, and I'm not saying they're cowards, but turn tail and sign this contract and just pay people out, shrink the company, because your movies aren't doing that well. Shrink the company, sell off IP, go into co-producing with Universal or somebody, and just pay people, or have just, get like, not scab writers, but like writers like me, go to Blacklist and just pay people the shitty payments that you want to pay people. Because that's what it looks like you want to do. Because at this point, if Millennium Films has nothing else going for it except for these big IP movies that, yes, include the Olympus series and that also include Expendables series. I'm scrolling through their Wikipedia right now, but they just put out Hellboy: The Crooked Man, another remake of this movie. Did I know this? Yes, I knew this was coming out. What? Why are there so many Hellboys? The first ones were good. I have no interest in seeing this. I'm not going to watch it without Ron Perlman. Oh, they also did The Protege. That makes sense. Oh, God, Expendables 4 was so bad. Okay, all right. Listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where we've got interviews with famous people. I had to... this is... I'll get into the business side of this. Somebody reached out to me yesterday, and they did not have... I wouldn't say this person had representation, but they did have a big following. And I look for that when I want to interview people. So I went, oh, okay, let me email them back. They did not get back to me. And whatever their thing is happening in 2 days. So either get back to me or don't. Anyway, all that being said, I had an interview that I did last week. And, at this point, was it last week? Yeah. So I did it last week. And I had to decide I was going to release it either this week or next week. But I didn't want to step on the toes of this person. So I was holding off my schedule for them. Whatever. Thank goodness I did this other interview so early so that I could just have stuff ready to go. If you want to see a video version of this show, youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can see a video version of the other podcasts there as well. The Constitutionals, which is the entertainment business news podcast, and Late Night Lately, the late night show. You can also watch video versions of the interviews there on youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can follow us. You can subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at cpluscomedy. Me on those platforms at Chad Black White. Thank you so much. Bye.